Hello, everyone. This is Aaron Maurer, aka Coffee Jug, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about blogging, and not just the blogging in the sense of how to blog for a homework assignment or a task, but really understanding that concept, the idea of taking something such as a school blog and using that to develop and build your publishing and marketing career, and branding your own business, which is you. And so we're going to look at it in a much bigger context, not just focusing on what are you going to do for an A, B, or C, but what does it mean for you? This is your business, and you're going to be developing your voice and your online platform. And so for me, I remember those days back when I had long hair in the great state of Indiana. This is my seventh grade picture, or at least seventh or eighth grade picture. And I remember when teachers would talk, not really caring. I remember not thinking too much about the future. I think a lot of kids are in that same state of mind as I talk to you all day long on these lessons. But your world's different. You literally have the phrase that you've heard a million times. You've got the world really in the palm of your hand with the phone or a device. And so you can start to brand and develop who you are as a person. And so when I think of writing, I think that it's this simple recipe right here. It's one part habit. So many students think they're not good at writing. I'm not good at writing, or I'm not good at math, or I'm not good at sports, or I'm not good at music. It's not that you're not good. You haven't developed a habit of working at it and just writing every day, or working on your math every day, or working on your skills every day. That's the first part. You just got to do it. When I started blogging 7, 8 years ago, my blogging was terrible. I don't know that I'm a whole lot better, but by doing it time and time again, I do believe that I've improved. You got to have some of the basic rules. That's why you go to school. That's why you make things happen. But most importantly is this one right here. You got to care a little bit. You got to care about what you're writing. You got to care about your voice and the authenticity of who you are and how you want to be represented. You care about this when you post on Instagram. And so why not do that in the other publishing markets that you have at your disposal? And so the word blog comes from web and log. If you were to say those 3 times really fast, you would be coming up with the word blog. And so what happened was, in the internet back in 1993, there was like 23, 26 websites when it started to go public. By 95, there was over 10,000. By 98, there was hundreds of millions. And now Google can't even access, I think it's like less than 1% of the content online. The exponential growth is so massive, it's so huge that we simply can't keep up. And so what are we going to do? How are you going to stand out among all this content? Maybe you will, maybe you won't, but there's some things that you can work on, and it comes up with the characteristics of great content and, more importantly, great storytelling. And so I love this quote here, that we're a planet of publishers, but many of us are littering the landscape with content crap. I just love all her work right there, and this is so true. There's so much garbage out there. There's because we can all publish, we can all be marketers. I've published a ton of crap, but your job, your challenge as a student, as you think about your work, is to not add more to the landscape. Create awesome, amazing content. And so this quote kind of feeds into what we've been talking about. The difference here between being good at math and bad math, really there, hard work. And you could flip this word out right here, math, and you can infuse that with anything you want. Music, football, it doesn't matter. You just gotta try, and you gotta work on it every day. Not saying you're gonna be an expert and pro and make millions of dollars, but you will get better by just probably working at it every single day. 5 years ago, so let's put this in context. Facebook updates were text only. You couldn't even add images or video. 5 years ago, iPads didn't exist. Very close, about one more month, they'll be coming out. But at this point, it's not. And this is my old iPad. Anybody remember the old rotary dial? Man, it's still one of the best things, and that iPad actually still works. The reason that I share that with you is that we've reached a point where obviously we know that Facebook is still number one. 1 in 7 people in the world are on Facebook at any given time. Twitter is getting huge, but Twitter's been around 9 years. But Instagram, they say, is going to trump Twitter. So in 5 years ago, Instagram wasn't even around. Now we don't even see Kodak, and Instagram is probably going to jump over and eventually overtake Twitter. The reason I share that with you is that if you can create good storytelling and create quality content and you know how to do that, it doesn't matter the platform. In 5 years, Instagram may not exist. Vine may no longer be a thing. We just don't know. And so you can't worry about the platform. You just got to worry about creating stuff that doesn't suck and not adding more to the suckiness that already exists. So the way we do that is we have to get away what I call the high school rules. You cannot be writing a 5-paragraph essay robotic barf system. It is boring writing. There's a time and place for it because you have to be taught how to write and how to create paragraphs and sentences and all that good stuff, but it doesn't work. It's boring writing. Nobody's going to read it. So your voice, you got to be able to sell your ideas and create an emotion. And this here, you've heard this phrase, you can only lead a horse to water, but your job is to inspire the horse to drink. The horse is the reader. Can you get that reader to think and question themselves? Can you get them to leave a comment? Can you get them to share? You want the reader to have an experience when they read your words. And so as we already talked about, the platforms are going to change. I mean, these things don't even exist anymore. So you have to develop your voice and brand so you can adapt to whatever the platform is at the given time. It's your web currency. You may not be thinking of the big picture, but as a 7th or 8th grader, you're building a presence online. Every time you submit a picture on Instagram, and I use Instagram because I know that's where most kids are, you're developing that. Are you the one that always posts a million selfies? Are you the one that always poses Iowa Hawkeye stuff? Are you the guy that poses only funny stuff or maybe just video games? Whatever it is you're doing, you're building a brand around who you are and how you want to be represented. So what's your story? The key is to remain true to who you are as a person and do not be fake. You'll get caught fast. And so the readings of today, when you think about your blog and the way you write, you have to think about your readers. People are not reading in books anymore, okay, because the blog is an online presence. You're also not reading on big computer screens. People just don't do that anymore. That's not how people read. They read on their phones or their devices, and they do it while they're waiting in line, while they're waiting for the doctor, waiting for a ride, while they're sitting on the toilet, while you're sitting in the living room, playing video games, texting your friends, listening to music, and then trying to convince your parents that you're doing your homework at the same time. So our attention span is narrower, and the amount of time that we spend reading are in shorter bursts. They're not in huge things. People aren't sitting down going, okay, for the next hour, I'm just going to read blogs. So this was some research found. A guy conducted all this research. Blog posts aren't overly long, on average 1,500 words, 12 words in your line of text because people don't like to scroll horizontally, but a lot of your platforms will take care of that for you. Your paragraphs, 4 lines or less. So the essentials, the boring slide, you got to have a title. This is the most important. All right, your body tags, date, comments, everything else kind of falls into place. And so when we think about blogging, it's more than just writing. The first thing you have to do is develop your voice. That's so important. And you've heard me say it a million times. But how do you want to deliver the message? You got to have the skills of how to do hyperlinks. You got to have the skills of how to embed videos. You got to have the skills of how to determine what's a good graphic, how that's going to help paint the picture of what you're trying to sell. Good titles, tags for your organization, and then comments. Whether you use them or not, it is an important skill. And so your voice, stick with one voice and always be thinking about who is your audience. So we're going to move away from the embedding and some of that stuff because I don't think it's as important when you think about blogging starting out, but graphics is really important. They talk about getting your images at the top of your blog post can sometimes increase your readership by almost 500%. And there's various studies out there, you can find different numbers, but the point is that it works. And so you have about a 7-second window So if you think about this, the first 2 seconds, people are reading the title of your blog post to determine if they're going to click on it. And they have another second where they click. And then they've got another 2 seconds where they read the first sentence. And then they have that next 2 seconds for an image. And then they make the decision. Do I leave or do I stay and read? So you have a 7-second sales pitch. You got to have a great title, you got to have a great first sentence, and then you got to have an image that kind of helps make it cement the whole idea together. Those 3 things are vital. And so despite what people say, we do judge books by their cover. For you, it's the title of your book or the title of your blog post. That's what's going to make them want to click or not click the information that you've created. Your paragraphs, we've already talked about it, short and sweet. The average American reads between the 6th and 7th grade level, and so if you just have a ton big chunks of text, it's intimidating and people won't read. So you got to go through short little paragraphs, let it breathe a little bit, get some spacing so it's not so intimidating. Headlines are huge. That's why we got Scorpion down here, the get over here. You gotta create that curiosity gap. Why should they want to read your stuff? Hook them in, grab them. You know, put the reader into the head. I shouldn't say deadline there. It should say headline. Use numbers and use lively words. I use things short-ish. Nobody's ever wished for a longer blog post. So get to the point, concise, short, simple. These are the ones to avoid when starting that first sentence, because these sound like school, which means it's boring. So you don't need to say, in my opinion, I think that, I believe that. It's your blog. We already know that. Don't unintentionally insult your audience. Now, I make these mistakes all the time, so it's not like you're going to be perfect right away. You got to work your way through it and learn how do you craft something that gravitates your reader. So we've talked a lot about these already. Short and simple, short paragraphs, shorter sentences, straightforward words, bullets help. We didn't talk about this, but highlighting, italicized, or bold. Visuals are huge, and white space. Let your words breathe. Give them some space. People like the white space, especially on a phone and a device, like a tablet. The more white space they see, the more they are willing to be able to read your content. So the process of developing this blog, we've talked all these things to keep in mind. So how do you go? What's the goal of your piece? Your teacher may give you an assignment, but even there, what's the goal of the answer that you're about to create on that question or on that topic? Reframe it with the reader in mind. Why should they care? What's in it for them? I mean, why should they even spend time reading the words that you've crafted? So remember, all our attention is constantly being pulled in a million different ways. What's going to compel them to want to take the attention and place it towards your work? And here, I love this idea. It's that ugly first draft, the UFD. And the way we do that, we just barf it up. Just throw it up, man. Get it out there. All right? Just get your words on. Don't worry about the spelling. Don't worry about the grammar. Just get the idea out of your brain on the paper or your screen. Then walk away. Get a break. And then come back and rewrite it, and really try to polish that turd. If you do get stuck, I personally don't believe in writer's block, but if you do get stuck, start with Dear Mom. So sometimes I'll think about my mom. All right, Dear Mom, here's what I'm going to put. Or Dear Dad, or Dear Friend, whoever is important to you. Sometimes framing it as if you're writing a letter really helps kind of crush that writer's block if you believe in that sort of thing. Now in school, they give you deadlines, so it's not a problem. But if you start to expand and you keep writing and you keep blogging, give yourself a deadline. Say, by Wednesday, I'm going to have this done. You're never going to have a piece that's 100% perfect. It can always get better. So give yourself a deadline, work on it, and then be done. Publish it, move on. Otherwise, you get stuck, and they just sit in that draft mode, and you're never going to get better at it. I think the key is the blog. It's neither a diary nor a journal. It's just a way to get your ideas out, but it has a little bit of both, and you're just trying to connect with people. So this is the basic cycle. You start writing, you're evaluating your work, other people's work, you're reviewing your work. It's at this point that people start to leave comments, and we start to reflect, and we're revising, we're coming up with the next blog post. It just keeps kind of happening over and over again that way. And so we read other blogs, you comment on posts, you write your own post, and really important, if people comment, you comment back to them. And so in closing, here are the 3 mistakes. We have this horse here doing the little neigh-neigh, and we want to keep this horse happy. We want to make sure that this horse is able to continue to whip and neigh-neigh. So avoid these mistakes. There's no neigh-neigh for this horse when you share how to build a massive following when you have 12 followers on Twitter. What I mean by that is you need to stay genuine to yourself. Just be you. Don't try to be somebody that you're not. If you're not an overly funny person, don't try to be funny. We all see the world differently. We have a different perspective, we have a different lens, and we have different backgrounds. So who you are is your selling point. You don't need to try to be something that you're not. And that's so, so important, not just in writing, but just in life in general. There's no neigh-neigh when people say they're going to create a viral video. Nobody makes a video viral. What happens, and we can replace video with blog. Don't think about, I'm going to write this next piece so I can have 10,000 readers. No, if you just focus on being awesome and writing awesome content, sometimes you go viral, sometimes you don't. But this is what you focus on right here. Nothing else, because you're going to start to get that writer's block if you're so worried about this viral piece. And your mind just starts to shut down. You have no control over that. The only thing you have control over is you and the voice that you bring to the table. And the last one is don't create crap content. We've talked about it time and time again. Really take pride in what you do. Take pride in your writing. Take pride in your social media, whether you're on Twitter or Instagram or Vine or Snapchat. Just really think it through and take things that are going to help other people. And so with that, I give you the Iron Man high five. Let's make it work. I look forward to seeing the next wave of great writers and great blog posts. And I'm always here to help if you have questions or need any sort of guidance.